You won't even notice it eating you alive." She smiled at him over breakfast. Warm, sincere eyes. A gentle brush of her fingers against his hand. "I love you," she whispered, as if he were the only man in the world. 3 hours later, he discovered his bank account was empty. Emily never planned to become a woman of vengeance. She was the kind of woman neighbors called an angel, always ready to watch someone else's child, bring soup to a sick friend, smile even in the rain. Her home in the Salt Lake City suburbs was a model of comfort. Fresh flowers in the kitchen, the scent of cinnamon in the mornings, photos of her children on every wall. 2 sons, Jake, 15, and Lucas, 12. And Mark, her husband. Her rock. Or so she'd believed. It started with something small. First, delayed replies to texts. Then, work dinners that ended at 2 in the morning. Next, new shirts he'd bought on sale, but that smelled of someone else's perfume. Emily didn't yell. Didn't make scenes. She just watched. Because she knew, if you scream, you lose. And she wasn't about to lose. She waited. Waited for him to confess. Waited for guilt to burn him from the inside out. But guilt, it turned out, had long since gone on vacation. The turning point came one evening when she overheard a phone call. Mark stood in the backyard, speaking softly. His voice tender, almost loving. "Yeah, baby, it'll all be sorted soon." She suspects nothing. Just a dumb girl in a skirt. Emily didn't cry. She closed the door, returned to the kitchen, and poured herself a glass of wine. Not for comfort. For clarity. Because in that moment, she understood, revenge isn't a scream. It's silence. And hers would be perfect. The first move was the money. Not all of it, just the funds he kept in a separate rainy day account. The one she knew about but never questioned. The account he'd been quietly siphoning from the family budget for the past 2 years. Emily didn't hack anything. She simply used the access he'd given her himself, in case of emergency, as he'd said. And wasn't betrayal an emergency? She transferred the money to an anonymous charity in New Mexico, one that helped women abandoned by their husbands. Ironic? Maybe. But she wasn't in the mood for jokes. When Mark discovered the loss, he came home pale, his voice trembling. "Emily, did you see any transfers from my account?" She looked at him with genuine surprise. "You manage your own finances, honey. Maybe you forgot?" He fell silent. Because he couldn't admit those funds were meant for her, for that baby. But money was only the beginning. Emily knew true revenge wasn't about destruction, it was about control. She started small, changed the Wi-Fi password every week, deleted his browser bookmarks, swapped his favorite coffee for decaf, and watched him yawn all day, clueless why. She didn't yell, didn't argue. She just made his life inconvenient. Then came his reputation. Mark worked at an insurance firm. A respected manager, reliable as a rock, colleagues said. He was even up for a promotion. Emily didn't file anonymous complaints. Didn't call his boss. She simply shared information. One day, she accidentally left her laptop open on the kitchen counter. On screen, a private message thread with a friend. Inside, every detail of his affair. Names, dates, hotels. Everything she'd gathered over months of quiet observation. She knew he'd look. He always did. And he did. The next day, he came home silent. Fear in his eyes. "Did you show this to anyone?" "Show it?" she asked, surprised. "These are my private notes, Mark. Why would I show them to anyone?" He didn't believe her. But he couldn't prove a thing. The boys noticed nothing. Or pretended not to. Teenagers sense tension but rarely ask, especially when they fear the truth. Emily tried to be the same mom for them. Cooked their favorite meals. Helped with homework. Listened to their school stories, even when her mind was elsewhere. But one day, Jake asked, "Mom, are you happy?" She froze. "Why do you ask?" "You just look at Dad like he's already dead." Emily didn't answer. But that night, she sat in the dark for hours, wondering, have I become a monster? Revenge isn't a straight path. It's a maze. And the deeper you go, the harder it is to find your way out. One morning, Mark didn't come to breakfast. She found him in the garage, sitting on an old chair, clutching their wedding photo. I've lost everything, he whispered. She said nothing, just set a cup of coffee beside him. You knew? He asked. All this time? Yes, she said. I knew. And you still smiled at me? Because I wanted you to feel what I felt. You thought you were in control, that you could live a double life and no one would notice. But you didn't even realize I was taking you apart, piece by piece. He lowered his head. What do you want now? I want you to leave, she said. Today. And the kids. They stay with me. And if you ever try to use them against me, I'll release everything. Not just to your coworkers. To everyone. Your family. Hers. The whole town. He nodded. Because he knew she wasn't bluffing. He left that same day. Took only his suitcase and his laptop. Didn't even say goodbye to the boys, just left a note on the kitchen table. Emily felt no relief. Only exhaustion. Deep, bone-deep exhaustion. But the next morning, she rose early. Made omelets. Poured orange juice. Placed fresh flowers in a vase. When the boys came downstairs, she smiled. Good morning, boys. Dad's gone. Lucas asked. Yes, she said. But we'll be okay. Together. And for the first time in a long while, those weren't just words, they were truth. 6 months passed. Emily opened a small business, a yoga and meditation studio for women. She called it Rebirth. Mark tried to come back. Sent flowers. Wrote letters. Even showed up at the house. But she never opened the door. One day, she saw him in town with another woman. Same smile. Same words. Emily simply walked past. Because revenge isn't about destroying someone else. It's about staying whole despite everything. Sometimes, late at night, she still hears his voice, just a dumb girl in a skirt. But now she smiles. Because dumb girls don't win. And she won. Not with money. Not with scandal. But by choosing to live stronger, wiser, freer. And that was the sweetest revenge of all.